And so check this out. One thing that could threaten Alphabet's dominance or Google, what could it be? Yes, if you said advertising, you are correct. Congratulations. Because that is pretty much how Google makes its money, through its search engine and the advertising that occurs on that particular platform. So, what could actually interrupt Google's grab on advertising revenue from its search engine? Let's go into the article and figure out real quick. Let's go. So, although cloud services are gaining more attention, advertising runs at Alphabet. It accounts for 57% of total revenue and produces virtually all of the company's operating income. That's how they make their money. Despite ad spending forecasts for a comeback, the very foundations of Alphabet's growth machine are being undermined. Who in the world is undercutting Google? Who is giving this particular business competition? Google has a monopoly on search engines, correct? If so, it may not be that long before they lose that. It poses a formidable challenge to Google's dominance in the future. Yeah, their ad revenue. And for that reason, the author of this article is no longer convinced that Alphabet makes for a good long-term investment. Wow, he said let it go. Forbes recounts how spending growth went from almost 20% in 2021 to low single-digit rates last year. Say what? It went from 20% to single digits? You can tell from this article that industry leaders, including Google, Meta, and the Trade Desk, were all affected by ad dollars suddenly drying up. Now, it gave them a false flag scenario as to, okay, what would you do? I'm talking about these three businesses here. What would you do if your advertising dried up? Now, why would advertising dry up in 2021? Of course, because of the COVID, because of the lockdowns, because of the restriction of money being moved around during that time period. So they actually had an actual case test to see how they would operate if that ad revenue went from double digits, 20%, to single digits. And it looked like they fared pretty well because they came out of it with no issues, no questions. Now, it could have been because they had a massive chest of cash laying around from the prior years to where they just completely made a whole lot of money. Ad spending will exceed $1 trillion for the first time in 2024. Now, either that is too much money or the value of the dollar is worthless. You would think that $1 trillion, like you cannot fathom how massive $1 trillion really is. From my understanding and my opinion, yes, $1 trillion is a lot, but it's not a lot once you consider that the value of the dollar is a lot less due to inflation, due to the amount of dollars that are currently in the economy. Because search is where the lion's share of digital ad spending goes, it means Alphabet's dominance is most at risk if anything upends the status quo, and that something has arrived. Artificial intelligence. That is going to give Google a run for their money, which off of the face, I mean, you would have to agree. It does look as if artificial intelligence, if conducted and produced and created correctly, could upend a whole lot of things that many people, many businesses have come to get accustomed to. This is the new frontier, uncharted territory with artificial intelligence. So Google is going to try to do things to make sure that this new invention, this new technology is not going to upend its status quo. Now, this author thinks that it will upend Google and their ad revenue. But you don't think that Google understands that this technology is out here now? They're going to try to keep a lock and key on their grasp of the ad spend. They want to make sure that they stay in the front. The New York Times reported Samsung briefly considered dumping Google for Bing, threatening a $3 billion hit to the revenue. Bing is a search engine, ran from Microsoft. They have created Bard and Gemini and have instituted it into Bing. SEMrush notes that Bing saw a massive increase in usage following its AI integration. If Microsoft continues to move forward in that path, expect the ad revenue from Google to get dried up. It's going to dwindle, right? So, the future of Google search. Alphabet isn't standing around wringing its hands over the development. It created Bard, which is familiar in format to ChatGPT and a reportedly much more powerful generative AI platform, Gemini. So they got two AIs. It says the Ultra version outperforms ChatGPT 4 on critical mass multitask language, understanding tests, as well as other core tasks. It is going to become a situation where users can turn to any platform for good results, i.e., you don't have to go to Google anymore. You could go to these other AI platforms, Bard, Gemini, Bing, ChatGPT, as they continue to develop. Maybe artificial intelligence will have ads on them. So if they do that, maybe advertisers won't be willing to pay up for Google search, the next sentence, which could topple Alphabet's revenue stream. So I think Google or Alphabet is going to get real creative real soon to try to create another form of income stream, especially if they see their ad revenue dwindling. You got to be ahead of the game. You just can't sit back and act like you cannot do anything. You have to try to ensure that you replace that once you lost, which in this situation, it could be Google's ad revenue. What about the price? Price in Google's pretty much made all-time highs. Look at this monthly chart real quick. Boom, look at that. All-time highs. Is that why this article came out? It's because more than likely price in Google's going to go down. That was a day ago. Is that a surprise that that individual is saying, I'm not looking for Google to be a long-term investment now because it made all-time highs again? Now, we talked about that. We was looking for Google to go up. Congratulations to those who's able to bag that. 7.29% there. If you were to get on the trade, last trade of yesterday, 11.81. They reported earnings yesterday afternoon. Look. They beat on earnings and on revenue, but the market is still down. We closed at 153.05. Price currently in the pre-market is at 144.68. Man, what's going on there, right? So I'm not going to drop a price prediction on the market now in Google. I want to see how the price relates to this earnings release because currently it doesn't look too good. Look at that on the 330-minute chart. What I will do is try to create some buy zones to which we could see some buyers hitting the market in Google. Okay. So let me go ahead and give you those at least. I ain't gonna leave you out dry. So that's one area. And this is the second area. The second buy zone. Let me give you one more. Okay, these are the zones that we can potentially see buyers hit the market in Google to try to keep price supported. Okay, while we're seeing this in pre-market. So I may come back in later on, let the market relax, find another area of support, and then drop another price prediction. All right, cool. Give me your thoughts. Make sure you maintain the profitability. And as always, trade different.